statement that I want to make to you today. God don't need your help. God don't need your help. Just like God don't need my help, God don't need your help. And somebody needs to hear that right now. Somebody needs to let it sink in all the way to their soul. God don't need your help. And somebody might be saying, well, what do you mean God don't need my help? I don't try to help God. Let me tell you something. As I was thinking about up in the Old Testament, as I was thinking about Sarah and Abraham, and to those who don't really know what I'm talking about, I want you to go back in your Bible and I want you to just read the whole chapter, the whole book of Genesis. But I want you to go read, but it's kind of directed towards chapter 17 through chapter 21 and 22. But I want you to go to read about Sarah and Abraham when you get a chance. And something that stood out to me about Sarah and Abraham was how God promised them a child, but they was old. But God promised them that they was going to have a boy, and they were supposed to name him Isaac. But see, they didn't believe God. They didn't believe God because they was up in age. And what Sarah tried to do was take things into her own hands. And you know, she had one of her servants that it was custom back in those days that if a wife couldn't have kids, that the servant would end up having child or would have kids to give heirs to the husband and everything like that. So anyway, Sarah offers her servant to Abraham. And oh, what a mess Sarah made. And it made me just think about our lives today, how we try to help God and we make a big mess for God. And maybe that could be you, because I know I'm guilty of it. We call ourselves trying to help God, but we just make a big mess before God, or we end up being a hindrance to God. Let's just tell the truth. So when I thought about Sarah doing that, and then she got mad and she blamed her husband. Now she came up with the idea. Abraham just went along with it. You know, like with most men, you gonna offer another woman on a platter. Of course they gonna jump on it, like duh. He jumped on it. So he ends up jumping on it, and she got mad at him. And they very well may be like a lady today. She's the same way. God has been promising her some kids. God has promised her a child, and she feel like because she ain't got that child now, she done went and took some things into her own hands, and you done messed up some stuff. See, we can look all day and say, I can't believe that Sarah allowed her husband to do this. But baby, you got women today allowing their husband to do it. You got women literally today who's told their husband, who's even told their boyfriend, look, go out, have a child by this woman since we can't have a child, and I'll accept it. But now she's mad because the mother's still in the picture. You know, she's upset about it. And we do this stuff. And just like I did stuff in my life, I wanted the husband. But guess what? I called myself, I'm going to help God. God, I'm going to help you. Because see, God, you're moving too slow for me. I tried my best to wait. I tried to hold out, God. I tried to do it your way. So now I'm going to take things in my own hand, God. I'm going to go do what I got to do and find me a husband. And when we do that type of stuff, and when we think that we're going to show God or help God, we end up hurting ourselves. And again, we may end up making a big mess before God. And I know that's what I did in my life. You end up attaching yourself to the wrong people you have no business being with. And again, you just make a big mess that God has to clean up. And it may very well be another woman like me. She's waiting, but she's called herself, she's tired of waiting. So she wants to help God. But if you're hearing this message today, be still. Have patience and wait on God. Because when it comes to a child, whether it's a husband, whether it's a car, a house, a dog, it don't matter if God do it 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. When God do it, it's going to be the right way. And that's what we need to understand. When God do it, it's going to be the right way and not the wrong way. Because too many times we get ourselves in a bunch of mess because we're trying to rush and help God. And God is saying, I don't need your help. You can't help me. See, somebody's in a situation right now with somebody they have no business being with because they tried to help God. Somebody even went as far and adopted some kids that they had no business adopting those kids. And look, there's nothing wrong with adopting children, but not all adoptions are perfect adoptions. And you have some people who they hate they did it. They wish that they would have waited on God. And that's just like me in my life. I wish that I would have waited and did it God way. And I'm sure it's some more women, it's some more men who can say the same thing. You got somebody right now who rushed into a housing deal. God said, just wait on me. I'm gonna do it for you. But you got tired of waiting on God, and guess what you did? You did it yourself. You did it yourself, and now you got a mortgage way over your head, and you're catching it every month trying to pay it. And then you got to get stuff inside that house fixed. Now you done made a mess because you called yourself trying to help God. And that goes the same with the vehicle. That's just like somebody who's been waiting on a business. God said, just wait. I'm going to set it up right for you. But you was in such a big rush. You done end up getting yourself into some mess. You done got into a scam where somebody done took all your money, and your business is going belly up because why? You didn't wait on God to do it his way. And listen, you can even have some people who truthfully, they try to wait on God. They try to rush and help God when it comes to them a job. And this is, I guess they try to use reverse psychology on God. You know how they be like, I'm going to give away all my money, and until I get that, then God is going to give me the job. Well, let me tell you something about that. It doesn't matter if, listen, God is going to give you that job when he's going to give it to you. And whether it's 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, that is when God is going to open the door and give you that job. Now, God will always supply your needs, so you don't have to worry about that. But see, because you gave away all the money in your account and left the last $10 up in there, that doesn't mean that God is going to be rushed to open the doors and give you your job any sooner. I know they tell you that lie, give away what you need. I know they tell you that lie, and you fall for it. But see, what you got to realize is this: God is going to do things when he's going to do things. Now, the only thing that you're going to do is, like I said, whether God give you that job 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or a year from now, you just going to have an empty account until God do it. You get what I'm saying? So see, you be rushing God, and we rush God and do things and try to help God, and God is saying, I don't need your help. God is saying, why are you trying to help me? All you're doing is being a hindrance to me. You're not helping me. See, a lot of us, we get mad because God doesn't do things on our time, and God doesn't do things our way. But you have to understand, when we do things God way, it's the right way. See, we get mad because God don't do things on our timeline, but it's not about our timeline. It's about God's timeline. And we got to get to that point and realize that. See, we get mad because God don't tell us the exact time when he gonna do it. He don't tell us the day when he gonna do it. But God is saying, I don't owe you to tell you how I'm gonna do it. You just need to know that I'm gonna do it. And God is telling somebody right now, I don't owe you to tell you how I'm gonna do it. You just need to know that I'm gonna do it. And God could be talking to you right now today. I don't need your help. God is saying, I'm gonna do it. But God is saying, I'm gonna do it when I wanna do it. And could that be you? Could that be you trying to put your hands in a situation to help God, and God is saying, I don't need your help? See, what God is telling a lot of us, if we be honest, God is saying, oh, you want to help me? Won't you help me while being obedient to me, by being faithful to me, by seeking me, so you can start hearing from me and listening to me, so you can truly be obedient to me. That's what God is telling a lot of us. Won't you stop being lazy before me? See, that's what God is telling us. If you want to help me, God is saying, oh, you can be a help instead of a hindrance to me. See, won't we start helping God in that way? God don't need our help, just like God didn't need my help. I was just messing up a bunch of stuff. And then if we be honest about it, we mess up this stuff, and God has to clean up our mess. That's what he has to do. That's what a grateful, merciful God has to do. We done got ourselves in a bunch of mess trying to help him as if he asked for it. And then we got to go and clean up our mess. And it's time for us to step back. It's time for us to step back and say, okay, God, my hands off of it. I'm done. God, I don't need to help you. But God, help me not want to help you. Help me, God, to just be patient. How many times have you just prayed and said, God, give me patience? How many times have you prayed for that and honestly said, God, give me patience? And for some of us, we need to start praying. And for some of us, we need to start trying to help God with everybody else. And somebody might say, well, what do you mean help God with everybody else? You know how, you look and you worry to point another stuff out to God, talking about, God, how you going to give her a husband if she got all them kids? God, how you going to give her a husband before me and she been sleeping around since she been in middle school? You know what I'm saying? pointing stuff out to God. God, how they got a nice car like that? How they got a nice house like that? How they got that type of job? And I go to church, I pay my tithes. Don't you do that? I was guilty of doing that stuff. I'm going to be honest about me, and God had to fix me because God said, while you sitting here pointing fingers at everybody else, how often do you point fingers at yourself? How often do you point fingers about your messed up, jacked up life? How often do you look in the mirror at yourself? And until you start looking in the mirror at yourself, that's when you will truly start looking at everybody else. Start looking at yourself now. See, when you start worrying about the messed up things in your life, you ain't got time to look at nobody else's life. And that's what I had to realize. I didn't have time to look at nobody else's life. I had to fix my messed up life. And then I had to realize God don't need my help. He don't need my help. And I'm going to tell you something else too before I close about those vision boards too. I know a lot of people may think that those vision boards are a good vision for them to try to help them out in life. But sometimes with those vision boards, we can get so caught up on our vision that we forget about God's vision. And see, when somebody is looking at those vision boards, and then you have to realize that you put on that vision board, before I'm 30, I want to be married. I want to have 2 kids. I want to have the house. I want to be driving a certain car. Well, see, before you know it, every day you're looking at that vision board, you're beating yourself up, and you start to think that you're a failure because you like, I don't have these things. And then before you know it, you start trying to rush God, and that's how you end up trying to help God. Because see, now you looking at like, oh my God, I'm this age, I don't have a husband, I don't have any kids. Then you rush and get into something you didn't have no business getting into. You end up taking a job you never should have took. See, we end up doing stuff and putting our name on stuff that we never should have did because we're looking at that vision board, and we're looking to that vision board, and we're looking to our vision. But how many times do we go and say, God, what's your vision for my life? How many times do we honestly say that? God, what is your vision? What's your vision for my life? And so that's it. And you have to remember too that we can make our plans, but God directs our paths. It doesn't matter the plans you make. God has to direct the paths of your plans. See, we can make plans all day, but God has the final say. And you have to realize that, because too many people are beating themselves up because they feel like they're not driving this type of car, or they're not making X amount of dollars on the job. And then, like I say, they end up trying to hurry up and help God because they like, but God, I'm supposed to have this. I'm supposed to have this, because everything goes back to what society says, and we never stick to the things that God says. So somebody right now need to start praying for God and asking God for patience. Pray and say, God, I need patience to wait on you. God, help me so I don't try to help you. That's what we need to start going to God for. Like I said, it's okay to start asking God to help you more spiritually instead of all these materialistic blessings. It's okay to go to God and just ask God for help you. And like I said, start looking at yourself. Put yourself in the mirror so you can start pointing the fingers at yourself. You won't have time to be looking and pointing fingers at nobody else. So always remember my closing. Self-examination is the best examination, and Jesus Christ is Lord, and He's all we have. Have a great rest of the day.